The first explosion shook the stellar crown like a toy. Hana felt the floor vibrate beneath her feet as she pulled on her combat boots. She laced them quickly, her fingers moving from muscle memory. Outside her window, she could see fire blooming in the darkness of space as the station's defenses fell one by one. She finished dressing and looked at herself in the mirror. The black tactical uniform fit perfectly. It always had. The empty holsters on her belt reminded her she had no weapons yet. That would have to change. Hana grabbed a small earpiece from the duffel bag and put it in her ear. She tapped it twice. The device came to life, connecting to the station's communication network. Immediately she heard chaos. People screaming, security officers shouting orders, and underneath it all the cold, cruel laughter of pirates. She listened carefully. The pirates had breached the docking bay on the north side. They were moving through the station in groups, rounding up anyone they found. The station's security forces were trying to fight back, but they were not soldiers. They were guards trained to handle drunk customers and small disputes, not trained killers. Hana left her apartment and moved through the corridors. The lights were flashing red. Emergency protocols had activated. Most of the civilians had sealed themselves in their rooms. Smart. The halls were empty except for the distant sound of gunfire. She reached the maintenance tunnels and climbed inside. This was her advantage. She had worked on this station for 3 years. She knew every tunnel, every service corridor, every hidden passage. The pirates would use the main halls. She would use the spaces in between. As she crawled through the narrow tunnel, she heard voices ahead. She stopped and peered through a vent. 3 pirates stood in the corridor below. They were laughing as they dragged a terrified station worker with them. The worker was crying, begging for mercy. Hana watched them pass. She did not move, not yet. She needed weapons first. Fighting 3 armed pirates with her bare hands was possible, but stupid, and Captain Hana Kim had not survived this long by being stupid. She continued through the tunnels until she reached the security office. The door was broken open. Inside, she found 2 dead security guards. She closed her eyes for a moment, offering a silent apology. Then she searched the room. She found a plasma pistol with half a charge, a stun baton, and a combat knife. Not much, but it would do. She also accessed the security computer, which was still working. The screen showed camera feeds from across the station. What she saw made her jaw tighten. The celestial table was full of hostages. The pirates had herded everyone there. Rich aliens in expensive clothes sat on the floor with their hands on their heads. Station workers huddled together in fear, and standing guard over them were at least 20 armed pirates. Hana zoomed in on the crowd. She recognized faces, fellow workers from the restaurant, guests she had served, and there in the center were the 3 nobles who had humiliated her just hours ago. Lord Vexthor, Lady Seraphine, and Duke Morphin. They looked terrified now. All their pride and arrogance had vanished. Hana felt nothing looking at them. No satisfaction, no revenge, just a cold, professional assessment of the situation. She switched camera views and found the pirate leader. He stood in the station's command center, surrounded by the bodies of the command staff. He was huge, easily 7 feet tall, with gray skin covered in scars. He wore heavy armor decorated with trophies from his victims, bones and medals and strips of uniform cloth. Kragan the Destroyer. Hana knew that name. Every soldier in the galaxy knew that name. He was a warlord who had terrorized the outer colonies for 20 years. His fleet had destroyed entire cities. He took no prisoners except to sell them as slaves, and he was here. Hana downloaded the camera footage to her earpiece. Then she erased the security logs and destroyed the computer. The pirates would not be able to use it to track her movements. She left the security office and began to hunt. Her first target was a lone pirate checking the storage rooms. She dropped from a ceiling vent behind him. The combat knife slid between his armor plates before he could turn around. He died without making a sound. She took his rifle and ammunition. Her second and third targets were patrolling together. She used the plasma pistol. 2 quick shots. They fell. She took their grenades and extra weapons. By the time she reached her 6th target, she was fully armed. 2 rifles, multiple pistols, grenades, and enough ammunition to fight a small war. She stashed the extra weapons in various hiding spots throughout the station. She might need them later. The pirates were starting to notice their missing comrades. She heard them on the communication channels calling for status reports that never came. Good. Let them be nervous. Hana made her way back toward the celestial table. She could not save the hostages yet, too many guards, but she could get closer. She could watch. She could wait for an opportunity. She found a position in the maintenance tunnel above the restaurant. Through a vent, she could see everything below. The hostages sat in groups. The pirates walked around them, weapons ready. No one spoke. The fear was thick enough to taste. Then she saw Jiho. He was sitting with the other restaurant staff. His face was pale, but he looked unhurt. Relief washed through her. At least he was alive. One of the pirates walked past Duke Morphin and kicked him. "Stand up, Crystal Man," the pirate said. "Let us see how tough you really are." Duke Morphin stood slowly. His crystalline body was cracked in several places from being hit. He said nothing. The pirate laughed and shoved him back down. "Not so proud now, are you?" the pirate said. "Where are all your big words about genetic superiority?" Lady Seraphine and Lord Vexthor kept their heads down. They had learned quickly that talking back meant getting hurt. Hana watched all of this. She felt no pity for the nobles, but she also felt no hatred. They were just people now, scared people who needed help. Suddenly, all the screens in the restaurant came to life. Kragan's face appeared, large and terrifying. The hostages gasped. Even the pirate guards looked nervous. "Greetings," Kragan said. His voice was deep and rough, like rocks grinding together. "I am sure you are all wondering what will happen to you. The answer is simple. We want 3 things from this station. First, all your money and valuables. Second, the research data stored in your science labs. And third, your cooperation." He smiled, showing teeth filed to points. "If you give us these things, most of you will live. If you resist, all of you will die. It is very simple." The screen went dark. In the silence that followed, one of the hostages began to cry, then another. Soon, quiet sobs filled the restaurant. Hana checked her weapons. She adjusted her position in the tunnel. And she began to plan. She could not fight 100 pirates alone. Even she was not that good, but she did not need to fight them all. She just needed to create enough chaos to give the hostages a chance to escape. Or better yet, she needed to take out Kragan himself. Cut off the head of the snake, but first she needed to know more. She needed to understand Kragan's plan, and she needed to figure out why he was really here. The Stellar Crown was rich, yes, but it was also heavily protected and right on the edge of human military space. This attack was too risky unless Kragan wanted something very specific. Hana tapped her earpiece and switched to the pirate communication channel. She listened, and slowly, piece by piece, she began to understand. This was not just a raid. This was something much bigger, and much more dangerous. Hana listened to the pirate communications for 20 minutes. She learned many things. Kragan had brought his entire fleet, over 60 ships, hundreds of pirates. This was not a simple raid. He was here for something in the research laboratories, something called Project Nightfall. Hana did not know what Project Nightfall was, but from the way the pirates talked about it, she knew it was dangerous. A weapon, maybe, or advanced technology that could be sold to the highest bidder. She made a decision. First, she would stop Kragan from getting whatever he came for. Then she would find a way to free the hostages. It was a simple plan. Simple plans usually worked best. Hana left her position above the restaurant and made her way through the maintenance tunnels toward the research wing. The station was large. It took her 30 minutes of crawling through tight spaces to get close. When she reached the research laboratories, she found a team of pirates trying to break through the secure doors. The labs had their own defense systems, heavy blast doors, automated turrets. The pirates were working to disable everything, but it was taking time. Hana counted 12 pirates. Too many for a direct attack. She needed a better approach. She studied the corridor, the walls, the ceiling, the floor. Then she saw it. The environmental controls were right above her position. The station's life support systems all ran through here. Hana climbed higher into the tunnels and found the control panel. She rerouted the ventilation system in that corridor. Then she released a sleeping gas from the station's emergency medical supplies. The gas was designed to knock out people during medical emergencies. It was harmless but very effective. She waited. 5 minutes later, all 12 pirates were unconscious on the floor. She dropped down from the ceiling and checked each one. Still breathing. Good. She was not a murderer. She only killed when necessary. She collected their weapons and communication devices. Then she tied them up with cable wire. When they woke up, they would not be going anywhere. Hana approached the laboratory door. She needed the access codes. She searched the unconscious pirates until she found a datapad on one of them. It contained the stolen codes from the station's security system. She entered the codes. The massive door hissed open. Inside, the laboratory was dark and quiet. Emergency lights provided just enough illumination to see. Hana moved carefully, her weapon ready. She passed through rooms full of equipment she did not understand. Computers, strange machines. Containers holding things she could not identify. Then she found the central vault. And inside the vault she found Project Nightfall. It was a small device, no bigger than her fist. But the vault around it was incredible. Layers of shielding. Quantum locks, biometric scanners. Whatever this thing was, someone had gone to extreme lengths to protect it. Hana found a computer terminal and accessed the research files. What she read made her blood run cold. Project Nightfall was a weapon, not a gun or a bomb, something worse. It was a device that could disable every computer system within 100 light years. Ships, stations, planets. Everything that relied on technology would simply stop working. It would send entire civilizations back to the Dark Ages in an instant, and Kragan wanted it. Hana understood now. With this weapon, Kragan could hold entire star systems hostage. He could demand anything, and no military force could stop him because their ships and weapons would not work. She could not let him have it. Hana looked at the vault. She could not open it. The security was too complex. But she did not need to open it. She just needed to make sure Kragan could not either. She set explosive charges around the vault, enough to destroy the device and bury it under tons of rubble. Then she started the timer. 10 minutes. She left the laboratory and sealed the door behind her. The sleeping pirates were starting to wake up. They groaned and struggled against their bonds. Hana ignored them and moved on. She was halfway back to the celestial table when her earpiece exploded with sound. "Someone is killing my men," Kragan roared over the communication channel. "Find them! Find them now!" Hana smiled grimly. Good. She wanted them to know someone was fighting back. She heard orders being shouted. Pirates being pulled from guard duty to hunt for her. That meant fewer guards watching the hostages. Perfect. Hana reached a junction where 3 corridors met. She placed explosives and tripwires. Then she activated an old pirate communication device she had taken from one of her earlier targets. She used it to send a fake message. "Target spotted in Section 4, she said, disguising her voice. Moving toward the docking bay. The response was immediate. She heard heavy footsteps. Lots of them. A large group of pirates ran into the junction. The explosives detonated. The corridor filled with fire and smoke. Hana did not wait to see the results. She kept moving. She made her way back above the celestial table. Below, she saw that the guards had been reduced from 20 to only 5. The rest had been sent to hunt her. She studied the situation. 5 guards. 50 hostages. The odds were better now. Then she saw Jiho. He was looking around nervously. He kept glancing at the kitchen door, like he was thinking about something. Hana accessed the restaurant's internal communication system. It was designed for the staff to talk to each other during service. She connected to Jiho's earpiece. "Jiho," she whispered. "Do not react." "It is Hana." She saw him freeze. Then slowly, carefully, he nodded once. "Listen carefully," Hana said. "In 2 minutes, something will happen. When it does, take everyone into the kitchen and lock the door. Do you understand?" Another small nod. "Good, be ready." Hana disconnected. She checked her weapons. 1 rifle, 2 pistols, 4 grenades, against 5 armored pirates. She had faced worse odds before. She dropped a smoke grenade through the vent. It landed in the middle of the restaurant and exploded with thick white smoke. The hostages screamed. The guards shouted in confusion. Hana kicked open the vent cover and dropped down. She moved through the smoke like a ghost. The first guard never saw her coming. She hit him in the back of the head with her rifle. He dropped. The second guard turned toward the sound. Hana shot him twice. He fell. The third and fourth guards started firing blindly into the smoke. Hana rolled under a table and came up behind them. 2 quick shots. 2 more guards down. The 5th guard was smart. He grabbed Duke Morphin and used him as a shield. "Show yourself," the guard screamed. "Show yourself or I kill him!" Hana stood up slowly. The smoke was clearing. The guard could see her now. A small human woman in a black uniform. He laughed. You, he said. You did all this? Hana said nothing. She just stared at him. The guard tightened his grip on Duke Morphin. Drop your weapons or he dies. Duke Morphin's eyes met Hana's. He looked terrified. But then something changed in his expression. Determination. He remembered how he had treated her. How he had called humans inferior. He made a choice. Duke Morphin threw himself backward using his crystalline body weight to knock the guard off balance. It was just for a second. Just one moment of opportunity. Hana took the shot. The guard fell. For a moment, no one moved. The hostages stared at Hana in shock. Then Jiho jumped up. Everyone! Kitchen now! He shouted. The hostages scrambled to their feet and ran. Hana covered them, her weapon trained on the doors. But no more pirates came. Not yet. When the last hostage was through, Hana backed toward the kitchen. Duke Morphin was still on the floor. Hana offered him her hand. He stared at it for a moment. Then he took it. She pulled him to his feet. Thank you, he said quietly. Hana nodded once. Then she pushed him toward the kitchen. She was the last one through the door. She locked it and began stacking heavy equipment against it. The hostages stared at her. Lord Vexthor's mouth was open in shock. Lady Seraphine's compound eyes were wide. Jiho pushed through the crowd. Hana, he said. What is happening? How did you... What are you? Before Hana could answer, a massive explosion shook the entire station. The laboratory. Her bombs had gone off. Project Nightfall was destroyed, and now Kragan would be very, very angry. The kitchen shook from the explosion. Dust fell from the ceiling. The hostages huddled together in fear. Some of them were crying. Others sat in shocked silence. Hana moved to the door and listened. She could hear shouting in the restaurant. Pirates were arriving. Lots of them. They had discovered the dead guards. Duke Morphin approached her. His crystalline body was still cracked from the beating he had taken earlier. He pulled out a small datapad from his pocket. His hand shook as he typed something. Then he showed it to Lady Seraphine and Lord Vexthor. Their faces went pale. Duke Morphin turned to Hana. I searched the military database, he said quietly. Captain Hana Kim, Terran Defense Force, Solar Cross 4, Valor, Operation Crimson Dawn. Proxima, Ridge. The other nobles stared at Hana. Lord Vexthor's mouth opened and closed without sound. You are her, Lady Seraphine whispered. The hero of Proxima Ridge. The woman who held off an entire army alone for 3 days. Hana did not look at them. She kept watching the door. That was a long time ago, she said. You were declared dead, Duke Morphin said. The records say you died in the final battle. I should have, Hana replied. My entire unit was killed. I was the only one who survived. I decided that Captain Kim should stay dead. Lord Vexthor stepped forward. For the first time since Hana had met him, he looked ashamed. We treated you terribly, he said. We mocked you. We humiliated you. And all this time you were a hero. Hana finally looked at him. Her face was calm, but her eyes were hard. I am not a hero, she said. I am just someone who did what needed to be done. And right now what needs to be done is keeping all of you alive. A loud bang hit the kitchen door. The pirates were trying to break in. Hana looked around the kitchen. There was only one other exit. A service corridor that led to the loading docks. But it was too small. The hostages could not all escape that way before the pirates broke through. Jiho moved to stand beside her. What do we do? He asked. Before Hana could answer, all the screens in the kitchen came to life. Kragan's face appeared again, but this time he was not smiling. He looked furious. I know you can hear me, Kragan said. Whoever you are, you destroyed my target. You killed my men. You have made this very personal. He leaned closer to the camera. I checked the security footage before you destroyed it. I saw your face, and I know exactly who you are, Captain Kim. Or should I say the ghost of Captain Kim? Hana felt ice run through her veins. He knew who she was. That changed everything. I was there at Proxima Ridge, Kragan continued. I led the attack that killed your unit. I remember you. You fought well, better than anyone I had ever seen. I thought you were dead. I am pleased to learn I was wrong. The hostages looked at Hana with new understanding. This was not just a random fight. This was personal. Old enemies meeting again. Here is my offer, Kragan said. You surrender yourself to me. Come out and face me. In return, I will let all the hostages go. They can take shuttles and leave. No one else needs to die. Just you and me, Captain. One final battle. The screen went dark. Everyone turned to look at Hana. She stood very still, thinking. If she surrendered, the hostages would live, but Kragan would torture her. Kill her slowly. She knew his reputation. He did not make quick deaths, but if she fought, Kragan would kill the hostages. He had made that clear. Jiho grabbed her arm. No, he said firmly. You are not sacrificing yourself for us. We will find another way. There is no other way, Hana said quietly. Then we fight, Duke Morphin said. He picked up a large kitchen knife. We fight together. Lady Seraphine and Lord Vexthor nodded. They grabbed weapons too. Pots, pans, anything they could use. Hana looked at them. These wealthy nobles who had treated her like dirt. Now they were willing to fight and die beside her. People could change, even spoiled aristocrats. But then Jiho ran to the kitchen computer terminal. His hands flew over the keyboard. Wait, he said. I have an idea. He accessed the restaurant communication system. Then he overrode the privacy settings. What he did next surprised everyone. He broadcast a message to the entire station, to every screen, every speaker, every device that could receive a signal. My name is Jiho Park, he said into the microphone. I work at the Celestial Table. For the past 3 years, I have worked alongside a woman named Hana Kim. She served your food. She cleaned your tables. Many of you never even looked at her. Hana tried to stop him, but Jiho shook his head. But Hana Kim is not just a waitress. She is Captain Hana Kim, hero of Proxima Ridge. She saved 40,000 colonists during Operation Crimson Dawn. She held off an army for 3 days with just her squad. She has won more medals than most generals. And today, right now, she is the only reason any of us are still alive. The broadcast continued. Jiho pulled up Hana's military records and showed them to everyone. Pictures of her in uniform. Lists of her missions, her medals, everything. The pirate leader Kragan wants her to surrender, Jiho said. He wants to kill her to save us. But I say no. We do not trade heroes for our lives. We stand with her. We fight with her. Throughout the station, people heard the broadcast. Civilians locked in their rooms. Station workers hiding in closets. Even some of the pirates stopped to listen. Lady Seraphine stepped forward and took the microphone. I am Lady Seraphine of the Luxari Collective, she said. I treated Captain Kim with cruelty and disrespect. I mocked her species. I called humans primitive. I was wrong. So very wrong. Today she saved my life. She saved all of us. And I swear on my honor, if we survive this, I will spend the rest of my life making amends. Lord Vexthor took the microphone next. I am Lord Vexthor of the Krillian Empire. I have the same confession. I treated this hero as a servant. I humiliated her for my amusement. I am ashamed. But I have also learned something today. True strength is not about power or wealth. It is about protecting those who cannot protect themselves. Captain Kim showed us that, and we will not abandon her now. Duke Morphin spoke last. I am Duke Morphin of the Voltrex dynasty. My people believe in genetic superiority. We think we are better than other races. But today a human woman proved that courage and honor are not about genetics. They are about choice. Captain Kim chose to protect us even after we treated her like nothing. That is true nobility, and I choose to stand with her. The broadcast ended. For a moment there was silence. Then Hana's earpiece crackled to life. But it was not Kragan's voice. It was someone else. Captain Kim, this is Admiral Chen of the Terran Defense Force 3rd Fleet. We received Lady Seraphine's emergency signal. We are 2 minutes out. Hold your position. Help is coming. Hana felt something she had not felt in 3 years. Hope. But then another voice came through. Kragan. Clever, he said. Very clever. But your fleet will not arrive in time to save everyone. I am coming for you now, Captain. You and I will finish what we started at Proxima Ridge. Hana checked her weapons. She looked at the hostages, at Jiho and the nobles who had become unlikely allies. Everyone stay here, she said. Barricade the door after I leave. When the fleet arrives, follow their instructions. Where are you going? Jiho asked. Hana loaded her rifle. Her face was calm, determined. To finish this, she said. Kragan wants me. He can have me. But he will not like what he gets. She moved toward the service corridor. The nobles and Jiho watched her go. This small woman in a black uniform, a hero who had hidden in plain sight for 3 years. and now she was going to face her nightmare alone. The music inside the celestial table was soft and elegant. Crystal glasses clinked together as wealthy guests from across the galaxy enjoyed their meals. The restaurant floated high above the stars, inside a massive space station called the Stellar Crown. This was where the richest and most powerful beings came to eat, drink, and show off their wealth. Hana Kim moved quietly between the tables. She wore a simple black uniform with a white apron. Her dark hair was pulled back in a tight bun. She carried a tray of drinks, her face calm and neutral. She had learned long ago to stay invisible here. The customers did not want to see her. They only wanted their food and drinks to appear as if by magic. She approached table 7. 3 alien nobles sat there, laughing loudly. Lord Vexthor was a tall reptilian creature with green scales and cold yellow eyes. His kind, the Krelians, ruled over dozens of planets. Lady Seraphine looked like a giant insect, but she wore expensive jewelry and fine silk. Her race, the Luxari, were known for their advanced technology. Duke Morphin was made of living crystal that glowed with inner light. His people, the Voltrex, believed they were genetically superior to all other species. Hana set down their drinks carefully. She said nothing. She had learned that silence was safer. Lord Vexthor picked up his glass and looked at Hana. His thin lips curled into a smile that showed his sharp teeth. He spoke in the common language that all species used in space. "Tell me, human," he said loudly, "do your kind still live in dirt houses on your little planet?" The other nobles laughed. Hana kept her face blank. She had heard worse. "No, my lord," she said quietly. "Most humans live in cities now." Lady Seraphine clicked her mandibles together in amusement. Her compound eyes reflected the restaurant lights. "Cities," she repeated as if the word was funny. "How precious." The Luxari had cities when humans were still learning to make fire. Duke Morphin leaned back in his chair. His crystalline body made soft chiming sounds as he moved. "I still find it amusing that humans are allowed to serve us," he said. "In the old days, they would have been pets. Or perhaps laborers." Hana felt something cold settle in her chest, but she only nodded politely. "Will there be anything else, my lords?" she asked. Lord Vexthor lifted his glass and tilted it. Red wine spilled across the white tablecloth. Then he tipped it further, and the wine poured onto Hana's uniform. The cold liquid soaked through her shirt and apron. "Oh dear," he said, not sounding sorry at all. "How clumsy of me." "You should clean that up." The 3 nobles laughed together. Around the restaurant, other guests watched. Some looked uncomfortable. Others smiled. No one said anything to stop it. Hana stood very still for a moment. The wine dripped from her uniform onto the expensive carpet. She could feel every eye in the room on her. She took a slow breath. Then another. "Of course, my lord," she said softly. "I will bring towels." She walked away with her head up and her back straight. Behind her, the nobles continued laughing. She did not look back. In the kitchen, she found towels and cleaning solution. Her hands did not shake as she gathered the supplies. She had cleaned up worse things than wine before. Much worse. Jiho Park found her at the supply closet. He was another human who worked at the restaurant. He was younger than Hana, with kind eyes and an easy smile. But now his face was red with anger. "I saw what they did," he said. "That is not right, Hana. We should report them to station management." Hana shook her head. She picked up the towels. "It will not matter," she said. "They are nobles. We are just workers." "That is exactly why we should say something," Jiho insisted. "This happens too often." "Let it go," Hana said. Her voice was calm, almost empty. "I have dealt with worse." She walked back to table 7 and cleaned up the spilled wine. The nobles ignored her completely now. They were talking about trade agreements and profit margins. To them, she was already forgotten. Just part of the furniture. Hana finished her shift 3 hours later. Her uniform was still damp and stained. She said goodbye to Jiho and walked to the staff changing room. It was a small gray space with metal lockers and harsh lighting. Very different from the luxury of the restaurant. She opened her locker. Inside hung a spare uniform and her personal belongings. But in the back corner, covered in dust, sat an old military duffel bag. She stared at it for a long moment. Jiho came in behind her. "Are you okay?" he asked. Hana closed the locker quickly. "I am fine," she said. "Just tired." But Jiho had seen the bag. He frowned. "What is that?" he asked. "Nothing important," Hana said. "Just old things." She changed quickly and left. Jiho watched her go, confused and worried. There was something about Hana that he had never understood. She was always so calm. Too calm. Like someone who had seen terrible things and learned to hide them deep inside. That night, Hana lay in her small apartment and stared at the ceiling. She could not sleep. She kept thinking about the nobles and their laughter. She kept feeling the cold wine on her skin. She told herself it did not matter. She told herself she had left that other life behind, but part of her wondered if she had made a mistake. At 2 a.m, the alarm started screaming. Hana sat up in bed instantly. She knew that sound. It was the station's emergency alert. Something was very wrong. She ran to her window and looked out at the stars. What she saw made her blood run cold. Dozens of warships were appearing out of hyperspace. They were black and covered in weapons. Pirate ships, and they were heading straight for the stellar crown. The station's defense systems opened fire. Laser beams cut through space. Missiles launched. But there were too many pirate ships. The station's weapons were designed to handle small threats, not a full fleet. Hana watched as one of the pirate ships broke through the defense line. Then another. Then 5 more. She stood by the window for a long moment. Her mind was completely calm now. Clear. She knew what was about to happen. She had seen this before. Hana turned and walked to her closet. She pulled out the old duffel bag and set it on her bed. Her hands were steady as she opened it. Inside was a black tactical uniform, combat boots, a worn belt with empty holsters, and on the side of the bag, sewn into the fabric, were medals. Lots of medals. Gold and silver and bronze. Each one represented a battle. A mission. People saved. Hana picked up the uniform and held it. 3 years. 3 years since she had worn it. 3 years since she had been Captain Hana Kim of the Terran Defense Force. 3 years since she had decided to disappear. The alarms continued to scream. Somewhere on the station, people were panicking, running, hiding. Hana began to get dressed. Hana moved through the service corridors toward the station command center. She knew Kragan would be there. He liked to sit at the top, looking down on his enemies. It was a weakness. Pride always was. She passed dead security guards and damaged equipment. The station was dying. Life support was failing in some sections. The hull had breaches. Even if the military arrived in time, the Stellar Crown would need months of repairs. But that was a problem for later. Right now she had to survive the next few minutes. She reached the command center and stopped. The doors were open. An invitation. Kragan wanted her to come inside. It was obviously a trap. Hana walked in anyway. The command center was large and circular. Windows showed the stars outside. And in the center stood Kragan the Destroyer. He was even bigger than she remembered. 7 feet tall and covered in scars. His armor was decorated with bones and trophies. In his hands he held a massive weapon that looked like it could tear through walls. He smiled when he saw her. "Captain Kim," he said. "You look different than you did at Proxima Ridge, smaller, older, sadder." Hana raised her rifle. She said nothing. "I have thought about you many times over the years," Kragan continued. "You were the only one who ever truly fought back. Everyone else either died quickly or surrendered. But you held that position for 3 days. 3 days! My men were terrified of you by the end." He walked in a slow circle around her. Hana turned to keep him in sight. She was looking for weaknesses. Every armor had them. "When I thought you had died, I felt disappointed," Kragan said. "Warriors like you are rare. You should be fighting for glory and conquest, not serving food to spoiled nobles." "I serve who I choose to serve," Hana said. "And I fight for people who need protection. Not for glory." Kragan laughed. It was a harsh sound like metal scraping on stone. "Protection," he repeated. "That is your weakness, Captain. You care too much. I learned long ago that caring is a liability. It makes you slow. It makes you weak. It also makes me dangerous," Hana said. "Because I have something to fight for." "You only fight for yourself?" Kragan stopped circling. His smile faded. "Enough talk," he said. "Let us finish this." He attacked, fast. Much faster than someone his size should be able to move. Hana barely dodged the first strike. His weapon smashed into the floor where she had been standing, leaving a crater. Hana fired her rifle. The shots hit his armor and ricocheted off. She had expected that. She was testing his defenses. Looking for patterns, Kragan swung again. Hana rolled under the attack and came up behind him. She shot at the joints in his armor. One shot got through. He grunted in pain but did not slow down. They fought across the command center. Kragan was strong and experienced, but Hana was fast and smart. She used the environment. She led him past broken equipment and unstable floors. She made him work for every step, but he was winning. Slowly but surely, each of his attacks came closer to connecting. Hana was getting tired. She had been fighting for hours. She had injuries she was ignoring. Her body was starting to fail. Kragan knocked the rifle from her hands. It skittered across the floor. Hana drew her combat knife. It looked tiny compared to his massive weapon. Is that it? Kragan asked. A knife? You disappoint me, Captain. Hana did not respond. She was breathing hard, calculating. She had one chance. Maybe Kragan charged. Hana waited until the last possible second. Then she dropped flat and rolled. Kragan could not stop his momentum. He crashed into the command console behind her. Sparks flew. Electricity arced across his armor. He roared in pain and anger. Hana ran at him. She jumped onto his back and drove her knife into the weak point she had spotted earlier, the gap in his armor near his neck. The blade went deep. Kragan grabbed her and threw her across the room. She hit the wall hard. Pain exploded through her body. She could not breathe. Something was broken. Maybe several things. Kragan pulled the knife from his neck. Blood poured down his armor. He was wounded badly, but he was still standing. He walked toward her slowly. Good strike, he said. His voice was weaker now. But not good enough. Hana tried to stand. Her legs would not work. She was done. She had nothing left. Kragan raised his weapon for the final blow. Then the wall exploded. The kitchen staff and nobles burst through. They had left the kitchen. They had followed Hana. And now they were here. Jiho had a fire extinguisher. He sprayed it in Kragan's face. Duke Morphin, still wounded, threw himself at Kragan's legs. Lady Seraphine used her natural agility to climb onto Kragan's back. Lord Vexthor grabbed a piece of broken equipment and hit Kragan with it. It should have been ridiculous. These were not soldiers. They were cooks and waiters and spoiled rich people. But they fought anyway, because Hana had fought for them, and now they were fighting for her. Kragan roared and threw them off one by one. But they kept coming back. They would not give up, and their distraction gave Hana time to reach her rifle. She picked it up, aimed carefully, and fired at the wound in Kragan's neck. The shot went through. Kragan the Destroyer, the terror of the outer colonies, fell to his knees. He looked at Hana with something like respect. You win, Captain, he said. Then he fell forward and did not move again. For a moment, no one spoke. Then Jiho ran to Hana and helped her sit up. That was incredibly stupid, Hana said to him. I told you to stay in the kitchen. We could not let you fight alone, Jiho said. He was crying. You have spent 3 years protecting people. Today we protected you. Outside the window, ships appeared. Military vessels. The Terran Defense Force had arrived. Smaller shuttles began docking with the station. The remaining pirates, leaderless and outnumbered, surrendered quickly. The battle was over. They had won. The next few hours were a blur. Medical teams arrived and treated the wounded. Military police secured the station. Bodies were removed. Damage was assessed. Hana woke up in the medical bay. Her ribs were bandaged. Her injuries were treated. She felt better. Tired, but better. A military officer came to see her. Admiral Chen, he was old with gray hair and kind eyes. Captain Kim, he said. Or should I say Hana Kim, waitress. Hana smiled slightly. Just Hana is fine, sir. We would like you to return to active duty, Admiral Chen said. The Defense Force needs people like you. Heroes like you. Hana shook her head gently. I appreciate the offer, she said, but I'm not that person anymore. I found something better here. A home, friends, a purpose that does not involve war. Admiral Chen nodded. He seemed to understand. Then what will you do? The station needs a new security director, Hana said. I think I would be good at that job. 3 weeks later, the celestial table reopened. The damage had been repaired. The staff had returned. Everything looked almost normal. Hana sat at a table with Jiho. She was not wearing her waitress uniform anymore. Instead, she wore the black uniform of the station security director. It felt right. Duke Morphin, Lady Seraphine, and Lord Vexthor entered the restaurant. They saw Hana and came over immediately. They looked different now, humbler, more genuine. May we join you? Duke Morphin asked politely. Hana gestured to the empty chairs. They sat down. We wanted to thank you again, Lady Seraphine said, and to apologize. Properly this time. What we did to you that day was unforgivable. We have started making changes, Lord Vexthor added. New laws protecting workers. Better treatment for service staff. It is a small start, but it is something. That is good to hear, Hana said. And she meant it. They talked for a while. About the attack. About changes in their governments. About the future. It was strange. A month ago, these nobles had treated her like dirt. Now they were friends. Real friends. After they left, Hana stood by the window and looked out at the stars. This station, this place, had become her home. Not because it was perfect, but because she had chosen to protect it. And that choice had meaning. A young human server approached her nervously. Excuse me, the server said. Are you really Captain Kim? The hero. Hana smiled. I was Captain Kim once, she said. But now I am just Hana, security director, protector of people who need protecting. And that is enough. The young server smiled and walked away. Hana watched them go. Then she looked back at the stars. Heroes did not need titles or medals. They just needed to show up when it mattered. To stand up when others could not. To protect those who needed protection. And Hana Kim, former captain, former waitress, current security director, would always show up, because that was what heroes did.